Konnichiwa minna, DragonoftheEastblu here, bringing to you my overdue but first ever convention review. Now sadly this review comes at a bad time. And I say sadly for two reasons. Firstly, I've only been to Otakuthon 3 times and no other conventions, so I can't really compare it to anything, and that's quite regrettable. And secondly, this was probably the worst Otakuthon I've ever experienced, which I will go into detail throughout this review. Now, before we begin, I need to make a confession. I released a video which was a guide to conventions with the limited experience that I had with them. I have now experienced more and ignored my own list. This will play out through the video. So my Otakuthon 2014 venture begins with a fast run back to my place to grab clothes, as I was forced to stay at a hotel with my cute and very hard-headed friend. Fast my ass, it took over 2 hours to go there and back. Fucking sucked. And what sucked even more was that even though I went back home, I still forgot to grab my telescoping drawing tube, which I expressed greatly in my other video. But it all worked out as I did not buy a single poster, and in all honesty, they did not have the posters I wanted. Sticking on the topic of hotels, we made the biggest mistake one can make that I have warned in my con guide. My friend, as I mentioned earlier, grabbed a cheap hotel, where we discovered, or rather, I discovered on the second night, was infested with bed bugs. That was a terrifying experience. My mother had filled my head with B-movie level fear of bed bugs, so it was a horrible ordeal for me. What made things worse is that not only did my friends take the bed bugs home with them, but the hotel is known to be infested. Now, I was lucky that when I got home, I cleaned my shit and let it cook in the trunk of my car for a couple of weeks, which I will now let freeze in the early autumn cold. My friend was not so lucky, as he had to get his room fumigated. Since I'm pissed that the hotel is still open, I'm gonna name drop it. They have had a problem with bed bugs since 2009. Why are they still open if it's well known that they have bed bugs? Because bed bugs do not carry any diseases, thus do not break any health codes. Nevertheless, this is absolute horseshit. The only advice I can now offer you is to use your iPhones and smartphones to research that last minute hotel, or avoid the mess altogether and research hotels beforehand. If you can't avoid it, immediately check under the mattresses for bed bugs, live or dead, or even bloodstains. If you do get bed bugs, whether you can leave or not, put all your fabrics in a garbage bag and lock them in the trunk of your car to cook in the heat or the cold for at least a week or two after washing them in hot or cold water a few times. Also, run them through the dryer. It's worked for me thus far, and I hope it serves you well. Now that we've gone through the most painful part of the review, let's move on to the convention itself. When my friends and I made it to the convention hall, we were terribly surprised that the place was packed. And when I say packed, I mean packed. Packed like sardines. I had never seen it this packed before. I first came to Otakuthon in 2014 and we had just broken the record of attendees at 10,000. I remember this quite distinctly as when the head of the convention asked us at the opening ceremony where are we going to go next, someone yelled as a joke, the Olympic Stadium. For those who don't know, the Olympic Stadium of Montreal and Place Bonaventure are the giant exhibition halls of the city. Palais de Congrès has been the home of Otakuthon ever since it was moved out of Concordia University. When I first went there, though a new record was broken, there was still a large amount of unused space. There were no lines to get into the con the 2 previous years, and only last year did I have to get in line to get my badge. This year, not only did it take hours to get our badges on the Thursday before the con, but getting into the con on the first day was impossible. There was a line from the stairs that stretched forever. Now, for those of you who haven't been to Otakuthon, there's a pair of huge stairs that go up from the exhibition floor to the remaining floors that hold the panel rooms. As per usual, instead of using the huge stairs, they funnel us like cattle into the tiny escalator to go up and another tiny escalator to go down. To give you an analogy of how bad it was, try pushing hundreds of pounds of Play-Doh through a small wine funnel with your bare hands. That's what it was like. Because of the huge lines, not only did I miss half the panels I wanted to go to over the 3-day convention, but I saw parts of the hall that I had never seen before. Here's the interesting thing. Even though we were easily between 20 to 30,000, it was not that packed in the exhibition hall nor in the convention as a whole. The reason for the lines was due to the convention staff, as they are the ones who created them. I have never been to Comic-Con, but according to my friends who have, they just check your badges at the door and let you do as you please. And that would have fixed the line issues at Otakuthon this year. They check your badge, but only as a flash check. It's not as if they look at your name and try to find you in the database. I lent my badge to so many people to let them go into the merchant area, and it was all fine, so much for the security. Though I have to criticize the organization and rationale of the staff, I met the head of volunteers and he's a great guy, so what the fuck, guys? Now then, let's get to the core of the review, starting with the exhibition hall, and then we'll work our way up. As usual, the exhibition hall, which is also the market of the convention, has everything you could want to buy, and more. The market was the best yet this year, and I managed to get nearly everything I wanted. As a huge fan of the AVGN, I could not pass these up. Still looking for Castlevania 2 Simon's Quest and Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde on NES. If any of you watching can help me, let me know. Since I limited myself to 60 bucks, I can only buy pins for my hat, my retro games, and what was left that I was supposed to spend on a couple of posters or wall scrolls, I used them instead to buy my girlfriend a Donatello figurine. Next up, the panels. Though I sadly did miss several panels due to the stupid ass lines, the ones I did see were great. Since I missed the Korra panel, I went to the bad fanfiction panel at 11 o'clock at night. Though it's great to read bad fanfics and just laugh at them, I went primarily because I was terrified my own work would be featured. But as I quickly learned, the shit that they were sharing makes my work look like it was written by Tolkien. But what made that panel so memorable and awesome was though that my work wasn't featured, someone's was, and they were there. What are the chances? On Saturday, I saw the Resident Evil The George Romero script panel where, you guessed it, George Romero wrote a script for an RE film. And oh my god, it is bad. So bad. And you can read it yourself. Check the link in the description below. I also saw the Bad Video Games panel, and as a huge AVGN fan, you would have to see such a panel. But that could have been my downfall. The games there were more terrible in concept rather than overall controls, so that was a bit disappointing. Nevertheless, I have to now agree with Boogie2988 that the second video game crash may be coming. Oh my god, they were so bad. I sadly don't remember what they were called, but honestly, I don't want to remember. That shitty voice acting will forever echo in my brain. I also met Liam Senpai from the Best Friend Zaibatsu, aka The Switcher, here on YouTube. A really great guy, and way taller than I thought. It's a shame that I cannot meet the rest of the team, as you rarely get to meet your local celebrities, let alone YouTube celebrities, but I'm still grateful. And finally on Sunday, I got up super early and forced my friends to come with me to the Katekyo Hitman REBORN panel. And it was a blast. It was hosted by some fellow hardcore fans, and because of it, my poor friends who I dragged so early to see it, now wanted to get into it. It could not have gone any better. Once again, awesome cosplays, girls. I want that Hiberdo so badly. Where can I get one? Someone tell me, please. So content-wise, the panels were great, and I'm so happy that I went. But there were still the same two problems that have been there since the first Otakuthon I went to. Audio problems and bad microphone technique. You would think that with all the time and money they had for this convention, the microphones, mixers, and speakers would work. But no, they rarely did. Audio came in and out, microphones didn't work at all, and not a single audio technician was around to fix this shit. Good job, guys. What made things worse was that the majority of the panelists had no idea how to use a microphone or actually speak. I'm always picky about the performance both on camera and on the mic, and I know I still have a lot to learn. I'm way better than these idiots. And I know most panelists are just fans, but take the time to learn what you're gonna say because you're already planning this panel. Do all of it right. As for the rest of the convention, there isn't much else to say. I went to the fighting games corner to watch some guys play Ultimate Street Fighter 4 and was hoping to play some Killer Instinct. There was no KI, the Street Fighter matches were shit, and the commentating was so unhyped. To put it bluntly, it was boring. And all the hype in the room was for the League of Legends section, which I cannot give two shits about. What sucks even more is that I could have gone home and enjoyed a Maximilian Dude livestream to get rehyped, but no, I had to stay at the hotel. So overall, though the convention was not a blowout as I had a blast, bought great shit, and hung out with friends that I missed dearly, I have to agree with Liam Senpai this was the worst Otakuthon to date. And though that seems extremely negative, Otakuthon is an amazing anime convention, so even at its worst, it's great. And truly, what made it bad this year was the lines and disorganization. Fix that and the bed bugs, which wasn't due to the fact of the con itself, then you're good to go. There was also the issue of guests, but honestly, I don't care about that. Unless it's Vic Mignogna or Sean Chamel or any of the other big guys, I could not care less. I watch my anime subbed, not dubbed. And speaking of dubbed anime, that reminds me of something. I'm ad-libbing this, by the way. Remember back in my previous con guide, I said that you gotta be careful about your spending habits because people are going to be charging you more than what you would regularly pay for stuff. I went to the HMV corner, which stands for His Master's Voice. It's something that only us in Canada and the UK know it is. It's basically a hot topic. I think that's the closest thing that you guys in the States have. Basically, they sell music and DVDs and Blu-rays and that kind of thing, but now it's become sort of a geek center. You can buy posters and memorabilia for Game of Thrones and Adventure Time and Minecraft, and you can buy video game stuff now there as well. It's basically a whole geek center. It's really cool. I remember that they were selling the Dragon Ball Z, the complete Dragon Ball Z DVD box sets, all strapped together for about $100, like $99 to $120 depending where you went. I went to the HMV corner at Otakuthon and they were selling them. They had a lot of them. They had like a huge stack of them for $200, and the guy who was there said they were selling them $40 cheaper than normal. You lying cocksuckers. And now back to the actual script. There is now a rumor that the convention will be moving to Place Bonaventure next year, which is okay for me since I know the place well and it comes with its own hotel, but the shows I have gone to see there are not anime related. That place is huge and is mostly for show floor and for booths. I go with my father every year to the hunting and fishing show, where they not only bring rifles, shotguns, and millions of pieces of fishing tackle, but trucks, cars, boats of all classes, fishing, pleasure cruising, canoes and kayaks, and ATVs of all types. Room we will most definitely have there, but where are the panel rooms? Palais de Congrès was made to be a convention hall, Place Bonaventure was not, and neither was the Olympic Stadium, which also housed the hunting and fishing show at a time. To be fair, I haven't seen the entire exhibition hall at Place Bonaventure, but you need to take that into consideration. Then again, it was just a rumor. Despite what was negative this year, I still recommend for all of you to come next year. I think they will be far more organized now they know that they have to step up their game. I'm also super glad that the cosplays I have planned will not be so complicated and high maintenance that it will not be worth it by next year, especially if it's going to be that packed. Shirihama Kenichi, Ken Masters, and maybe Tommy Dawkins. This is the Dragon of the East Blue saying sail on and anime!